Mm-hmm. Ba-bum, bum, bum, bum. Ba-bum, ba-ba-bum. Ba-da, da, 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 dum. Good evening, folks. I'm Nick Tockert, and this is Nevermind the Furthermore After Dark, your evening fill-in show when nobody has anything else going on to help get you through the night. So tonight, folks, we won't be using a lot of loud voices or boisterous calls. No, instead, we're just going to pull everything down and give you guys a minute or two to just feel the smooth awesomeness coming in as the sun goes down and the spirits go up. We're not really sure what's going to come on tonight, but we may have freelance art. There may be some 3D renders, depending on what my lovely chat would like. However, before we get into any of that, friends, I have to pay some bills, as always. Never mind the furthermore, after dark. Like all things we do, is brought to you with the love and support of our good friends over at indiecd.org. That's the Independent Creator Directory, your one stop shop for the best and the brightest authors, artists, and musicians. If you wish to join their number and me on this most wonderful website, you can for the low cost of $40, where you'll be hosted. You'll have access to the community calendar, and more important, access to a community of creatives just like you trying to make it in this mixed up world, folks. And I'm not one to come to folks with an offer without a bit of incentive, without a gift, if you will. So the first 100 people to join and use secret code podcast1. That's podcast1. All caps will get half off. We are also made possible, as always, by the sales of my books, including but not limited to The Simple Sword, The Fighting Axe, and The Simple Spear, all part of my ongoing, yes, ongoing series of Western martial arts manuals designed to help you go from having never handled a sword to teaching the art to others. We are also made possible by the assorted novels you can find on my Amazon store at amazon.com/authors/Mr. Nicholas Anthony Tockert. That's me, folks. Now, normally this is the part where I'd hop into the ads, but we're going to try to lay off the ads for the most part. We may run one or two as time progresses, but right now I want to see how the chat's doing, how all the good folks out there in the wonderful wide web are feeling as the evening finally cools down and with the lights down, maybe that's when it heats up. Let's see who's in the chat this morning. First through the door is our own Bladed Thesis After Dark. Does that mean we don't have to behave? That's entirely up to you. You behave how you feel is right and just, my dear friend. However, as I am off the usual morning show shtick, I will respond in kind. And Dan wisely says it's Nick. We need to behave a little bit. Indeed. Simply because I put aside my morning persona, and as evening approaches and the hours wind on, I can relax into a more comfortable place. I'm hoping you can as well. And Bladed Thesis is laughing, and we are joined by the effervescent, the just ethereal Miss Saren. How are you, my lovely siren? She is the voice of Hades and Hellfire and has been doing amazing things I am so eager to eventually share with you all. I hope you're having a lovely night too. And hey, Miss Saren, and what's this? Good evening. Good evening. Guess what, Nichols? I'm going to be an hour away from you Tuesday through Thursday next week. Well, that's not bad at all. The closer we can get, the better things are, my dear friend Sarah. I do hope that not too much problem is coming up to bring you out to the wonderful world where The corn sharks have come to full life and are going out to spread across Indiana. The scarecrows march, and finally the bats sing the songs only they can hear. And we've got greetings for Thesis and greetings for Sarah. And what's this? There's a country music artist performing across the street from my freaking room. It's war, lol. I have my music in my window blasting back there with small maniacal joys. Well, you are the master of disaster at the moment, and I am absolutely here for it. We have to take a stand for what we believe in, even if it's petty, because in life, sometimes what is better than being petty? Ack indeed. We'll be taken to Geek Street. Gonna be with BKM and Cookie. Well, you are in for a treat. Cookie is one of the sweetest people on the planet, and I absolutely adore her. And Brian, mentor, hero, just about an inspiration on a lovely night like this. And your music will win, Sarah. If no other reason, it is loud. Yes, Blade. Full bass. Deep, dark, and hard. Not the green room. Not that. Not yet. But friends, we're barreling our way through the week. And the green room's just a breath away. And remember, those who know that the doors to the green room are always open. They've been in my room. Time for me to return the favor for 3 days. Oh my. If you're an hour away, I know exactly the neck of the woods you're going to be in, and it is delightful. Although I thought Geek Street was quite a bit away from here. But we'll see. Strange things happen. Now, I probably should run an ad, as it is rather late. And we're going to get ourselves something a little different, though. We're going to dial way back into the olden times to see if we can't resurrect the smoothest ad in indie comics today. So I'll be back in about 40 seconds, 46, because, got to give him room. As we get this golden classic from our friend, Mr. Joe D. McPhee.
Hi, I am Joe D. McPhee. I am the host of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher, and I want to cordially invite you to watch our show Saturdays at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. On our show, we will have different guests as well as talk about the comic book industry and pop culture. And every so often, I might actually do a drawing session or a 3D rendering session every here and there. So once again, I want to invite you to watch From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher right here on the broadcast channel that you're looking at, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Hope to see you there, and make certain that you catch From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks.
No, Joe, thank you wherever you are. It's been a while, friend, and I know that you ran afoul the Facebook censors and friends. No, I'm sorry, the YouTube censors, which is why I warn you constantly about not the green room, because the green room won't always protect you, unfortunately. And I don't want to see any of you lose your standing in this community because of the forces of order and good, supposedly, as gifted to us by our corporate overlords. However, returning back to the ads, we've got Carl Witzman asking what's going on here and laughing about it. Well, not everything has to be the jump up in the morning and scream, wake you up, because you don't need to be woken up by now. A good number of you are settling in with the ones you love and enjoying their company. Some of you before toddling off to bed. Some of us night owls are instead out here prepping to do the work of creation when no one's around to disturb us. It is a beautiful time to be alive. The moon is as full as it can be after an eclipse. The coyotes howl in the distance, and all is right in the world. Yes, Geek Street is about an hour away. Checking the vibe of the area. We'll see how much we all annoy each other by the end of it. Well, I think you and Cookie and Brian will have an absolute blast there, Sarah. I think without a doubt, you two will be getting into every bit of, you three will be getting into every bit of mischief, and one of you will be trying to hold the reins, but never quite sure which. I certainly wouldn't want to be the adult in that situation. And Dark Pope, she says, with an old greeting to Carl, I'll be an hour away from you as well. Foxy is making dinner, then can settle in. Well, that's a good thing to do. A nice light dinner is not a late dinner is not a bad idea. We just had over here some of the Walmart Chinese food. It's not the best, but it was a little different and it was quick. And between my broadcast and now, I've had a rather busy day of trying to solve some mechanical difficulties on a Nerf blaster and doing some quiet research, contemplating again some 3D rendering I'm slated to get done, and passing some messages on to the likes of Alec. And it's been a decent day, but it's going to be a better night because I am going to get some sleep. I only got 3 hours last night, and, well, this morning to be more accurate, so I know I'm going to need it. But Sarah continues, at an hour away from Indianapolis. I'll keep you guys posted. Shenanigans will be had. I am pro shenanigan and shenanigan related activities. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Carl. I misread Geek Street because we have a restaurant here in our town called the Greek Streak. Now that sounds very much like a good place to get some heroes. I could go for some of those. The sun is still very much out for you, Miss Saren. Well, Miss Saren, it's hard because the sun shines forever over you and your lovely presence. So it can be lamenting to have, the astrological bodies bowing in deference to your glory. But soon the long cloak of night will wrap comfortably around you as well, my dear. Now, Dan Hallfield says, I've decided to take today and chill and think about my next move on several projects underway this month. I may be playing lumberjack a tad tomorrow, cleaning up fallen trees and branches. Well, that's excellent work. One of my first occupations was as a freelance lumberjack, dropping trees and splitting wood and such. Built up some of the musculature that I have today. And I hope you were careful with it. Be safe, Dan. Your passing would bring a genocide of ideas and dreams. So please be cautious. But have a little fun too. Escaping here next week. Sold my car today. Oh my gosh, I've had it since I was 28. Was shaking as good and yucko memories were washing over me and was shaking. Well, my dear, I hope that freeing yourself of that car gives you that chance to leave the burdens of the past behind. Let the echoes die in the darkness in which you cast that vehicle and find a new way to get to new places. We are on the edge of monumental changes, and despite all the political wranglings and societal grumbles, I still am oddly, quietly, and in face of the horrors against which I persist, optimistic. There's usually light in the darkness. It just has to get dark enough for you to see it. And if there's one thing we're about here on Nevermind the Furthermore After Dark, is turning the lights down low and making sure everybody is a little more comfortable. as we look further on, let's see what else is going down the time. And here we are. Cookie is going to be the adult, I'm sure. Well, there's nothing wrong with adulting with Cookie. Carol says, hello, everyone. Just got back from dinner with friends. Donna may be in front of the TV, so that's all for her. Well, Carl, it's tragic that Donna is isolating herself from the smoothness that's being delivered today, but that does not mean we can't all have a good time. I am an equal opportunity host, good sir. And Jody was using his old student email for his YouTube, and then the school shut it down. There went his channel. Well, that is tragic. I remember having similar issues when they took my school my student email away, but we all persevere. And Joe is a great many things, but of them all, he is determined, stubborn, not one to go quiet into that good night. Therefore, I have absolute faith in our old friend Jody McPhee finding a way to make it all built back maybe a little bit better. Ooh, Dan Hallfield continues saying, I may also have time to do a touch of masonry as well, restructuring my barbecue grill patio arrangement. Now that sounds good. Meanwhile, Sarah's going Greek. Ooh, good food and some hubba hubba, I'm sure. Maybe our dear friend Sarah can find her very own bit of hunkules to keep her warm at night. You never know. Miracles happen when you least expect them. And Dan, my court date for law enforcement is tomorrow. I'll be reporting on Friday. May the farce be with you, my friend. And the food is pretty good, Sarah, if not expensive. And Sarah says, missed you guys today, standing firm and facing anxiety and stress in the face head on. Yikes, but necessary. Well, Sarah, then I'm very glad that we could bring you together on this absentee evening where Joe and Trelena Bachman are forced to be busy doing what it is they have to do. I try not to pry into other people's business. Oh, that's not true. I love a good gossip. However, this is not one I'll disseminate. That's on them. But with Dawn a little tired out from her exertions this Monday night on Indie CD 411, with all the good folks from Holocon showing her all the fun that could be had on a stream with, 7 panelists. The young lass, as some know her, has deserved to sit on her chair for a while. Just take it easy. And I am here for that. And that's right. You got this, Sarah, for whatever that is. Like I said earlier, if you didn't catch it, this could be whatever you need it to be. I am a man of many talents and great capacity when properly motivated. Thank you so much, Blade. One foot in front of the other. That's the only way to do it. Got through it with the car, just wanted to be back inside before it went away after signing the title order. I know that feeling as well. Looking forward to a good outcome for the hearing, Carl. And the hearing, you in trouble? And Dan says, yes, I will have a safety watcher while I saw up the fallen stuff. I don't think I will have to drop any trees, but I have my gear for that if needed. I have no doubt in your capacity and equipment. I'm just cautious because of late we have lost far too many good people, and too many vile creatures are walking about strutting their slimy selves all over, spewing irrationality and cruelty. So I am extra cautious. The universe is a little off balance. I Well, I'm just here to set a few things right and get you through the night. That's why Dusk hasn't been around. Exactly. He recreated a new channel, so he's back. He's back again. Dusk is back. Phone a friend. Speaking of friends, hello, Alec. Welcome to Nevermind the Furthermore After Dark. Don't worry, I will still be keeping this program as relatively safe for minors as anything this bunch of degenerates are able to come together at. But I hope your day is going well and your evening is going better, my friend. And hey, Alec. And Alec, yes, this is a chance for Sarah to chat with Alec. Safety first, Dan. And Sarah Carl's hearing about the law enforcement. Oh, that's criminal. Oh, I missed that comment. Whoops. Oh, it happens. And Sarah. So, see, Alec is glad to see you too. Too many weeds for my neighbor's pleasure. I got sick and missed my deadline, so now I have to go to court to prove it's cleaned up. Well, that's vile. I'm sorry. I have the silly belief that the government is supposed to exist to be a sort of union of finance and ideals, a coming together of resources to fight problems that we could not fight alone. Um, it is supposed to be in service to the people. When the government, in any form, large or small, butts into things that are causing no one any harm, I find it rather invasive, and it's best to let them do let people do their thing if they're not hurting anyone. But that's just me, and sadly, I have no authority over anything save the contents of some of my programs and the shenanigans I can pull off in my own home. Dan Hallfield says, I will take photos of the new arrangement barbecue grills as well as the new cast iron stove for outdoor cooking. I look forward to seeing them. I intend to engage in very similar activities, probably tomorrow because I have no streams. Possibly, but not guaranteed, possibly tonight. Um, One of the things I have to work around is the fact that I have several conditions and that are exacerbated by my medication, where full-on sunlight can leave me sick, weak, and a little dizzy. I have to be very cautious with it. It can affect my blood pressure and all sorts of strange things. Therefore, it's best if I stick to the shadows in the day and cruise merrily in the evenings. And speaking of evenings, good evening, Alex, says Dan, and nice. And Sarah says, my head is in the sand of things in the news. Right now, I have my own things to deal with. Then be further jumpy about heinous chaos. I can only imagine it's been going and is going on. On those matters, you simply have to acknowledge that there are things you cannot change. I pay attention for the same reason I pay attention to anything, so that I may monitor the patterns of activity and decide what actions I can take and actions I may take. The serenity prayer is helpful to us all. One moment, please. Now, going further, Alex says, evening all, doing dishes right now, so lurking. Well, that's an excellent thing for you to be doing, Alec. Maintain your house chores best you can, maintain your school chores best you can, and keep in mind that we're only, what, a week away? A week and a day away from the next RPG night. I'm sure you can make. And Alex says, evening dawn. And Thesis is talking about his program where he is planning to interview someone on his first time ever. Well, I think you'll do just fine, Thesis. You've become quite the broadcaster. And the more you do, the better it is. Now, I need a moment because apparently I am receiving a phone call, which is very rare for me. So we'll listen to Dan Carl and we'll see what's going on.
In 1948, a man was found dead on the beach. But he hadn't just washed up. Oh no, he was very nicely propped up against the seawall, very well dressed. But there were no labels in his clothes. They had all been cut out. Very mysterious, the police thought. And then they found, rolled up in his pocket, a piece of paper from a novel that said Tamam Shud. When they finally traced it, it came back to the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. But it got even more strange, because in the back of the book, when they found that it had been torn out of, there was a code, a secret code that has not been cracked to this very day. When they finally found his suitcase, it had a mysterious jumble of items, some which were very hard to explain. Also in the back of the book was the phone number of a very mysterious nurse. What did she have to do with the death of the Somerton man? Find Death and Love Down Under, a novel by Carl Witzman, on Lulu.com in both ebook and print format.
It's an interesting mystery, as all mysteries really are. And they may say it was answered, but I don't trust them. Foxy says, and I have dinner, bacon, tomato, and cheese. I didn't have lettuce. We all find ways to make it work. Exactly. I'll wait till closer to November. I can't change anyone else. That would stress me out way too much while working on my freaking life. No, not yet. You do what you have to do to preserve yourself, Sarah. And that's a really good and valuable point. If you are enduring information overload, as many of us can be, sometimes the best thing to do is disconnect. The loving saying of touch grass sometimes is best done literally. We all have to find ways to ground ourselves out, away from the constant battering of influence peddlers trying to turn us into commodities, begging, lying, and stealing for our votes, all to keep in positions of power. No, my dear, dear friends, when the world gets to be too much, sometimes you have to step back, so that when you need to, you can step forward. I will never hold negative someone who is taking rest for their own mental or physical health. Because, friends, that's what we absolutely love to do, and that's what we love to see here. Now, I am wondering if I shouldn't be using this time more constructively. I do have quite a few things I could be doing that were put off. I just have to find out if the system will tolerate it. So, allow me to take this fellow over here. I have to move some screens around. Oh, that's god-awful bright. Sorry about that. I do have some units I need to render, and some people have asked me how I do it. So instead of my usual shenanigans, I might just show you guys. Now, I will warn you, the screen will brighten quite a bit, and that's okay. I think everyone can just settle into that. We'll just, if there's interest or there's lack of content. It seems like you guys have been pretty quiet, so I'll run an ad, and then we will ease on back into the next situation. And let's see. Given that I'm in a rather smooth mood, I think I'm going to promote my friend Robin Yoda, who runs a little YouTube channel with slightly larger Twitch, doing calm, cute streams and being supportive of folks who have problems.
Hi, bunnies. This is Robin Yoda. Just wanting to let you know I have a Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/Robin Yoda. You can catch me there Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific playing Stardew Valley, Saturdays at 2 p.m. playing The Sims 4, and Sundays at 10 a.m. Pacific playing a random game from my Game Pass library. You can also find me Mondays on my YouTube channel, Robin Yoda the Lilac Bunny. I hope to see you all there. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Robin, and I hope you're having a good and happy evening. Let's see, we've got some commentary. And let's see, not yet. And sure, I've been worried about things. 3D stuffs, and thanks for the ad. Meanwhile, the cat gave me a love bite and broke skin. Darn the cat. Uh-oh. Yeah, let's keep the bleeding to an absolute minimum. But and again, pardon me for the screen brightening up a bit, but if I go here and I go here, I should. And what format do I want to do this in? We can do better. I can give you more room. There we are. Now, this is SketchUp, and we're going to zoom in quite a bit, and I'm going to show you guys how I build vehicles. And of course, I will keep the chat up, but first thing we have to do is rid ourselves of that one. Goodbye now. Oh, the full moon has been affecting everyone. Now, I'm going to start a line, and you see how it's on the red, and it has a random number over here. If I go... Oh, I made a mistake. Hold on. Let's try this again. Now, while I'm holding it, I type in 30, and it does that. Nice little 30 millimeter long line. Now, why 30 millimeters? Well, I have found that this is about the size of the original units that I used to make big snappy robots. Now, I may go smaller or larger, but it's just easier to play with when I know I'm working on fixed numbers. So we're going to go 10, and I'm typing that in. Now we're going to just come over here for a moment, and I'll line that up. If I can get this, why is it being argumentative? Something is going on, because that is the red line. So either my zoom angle is very strange, which apparently it is. Nope, that went hideously wrong. That's fine though. When you're dealing with the 3D stuff, your Control Z button becomes a very good friend. What happened is my 30 did not stay on the red line. And this delineates one of the axes. So if I do that, and I need to undo that little bit there. I'll just redo this again. I'm going to spin the world a bit, make sure everything's, yes, that's better. As you can see, you have 3 axes to work with. The red, the green, and the blue. Pull this back. Blue being straight up in this case, but we're going to go here. We're going to go 10 out. Hit enter. line up here so it knows I want to be level with that. That's giving me 30. That's giving me 10. And importantly, that's giving me, oh, hide this gobbledygook, a lovely two-dimensional plane. But we're going to fix that. So we're going to pull this guy up to 10 millimeters, being 1 centimeter. And this is a great basis for the types of units that I make that Joe Bachman prints off. And yes, the full moon is affecting everyone, especially this one after the harvest blood moon. Think about it. So it's not werewolves, it's werecats. Indeed, it's were everything. And folks, I know this is not my standard format, but please like, share, and subscribe so that I can keep doing this. And maybe you'll get more Nevermind the Furthermore after dark. Maybe. If you're good. And yep, Carl, I get insomnia about 3 times these months. Starts 2 days and goes, yep, I am the same way. The full moon always gets me. Well, after the CME2. I don't know what the CME is, but we're just going to move this around. And I'm going to think a little bit about the unit I need to make. There are a lot of ways to do this that are more precise, but when you learn the tricks, like it likes to work on midpoints, you can do things like this. And the reason I am capturing these happy midpoints is because despite all the tricks and math you normally have in, say, your standard 3D render, core mass ejection, yes. I'm affected by gravimetric and I am affected by electromagnetic fields. And with all this, I've just accepted that there's going to be insanity. So, by having these halves, I can start to make things just a little more interesting on myself. So what we'll do is we'll take this. Now, if this is going to be a good boy, which it is not electing to, that's fine. We can do this here. Come here, we go out. 10. Nope, it latched on the wrong axis. There we go. Are you on the proper axis now? Thank you. I can come down. Nice. If I go to the midpoint, which is 5, this will come down to here, which is 5. A lot of what I like to do when I'm designing units in this kind of program is work on one face and do a little bit of what I'd consider stock reduction. And I'm sorry, there are so many people who are using acronyms, I get a little confused. And Angelina, hello. And Angel, and yes, and Sun and Moon are both playing. We're due for it. We're mostly water. Look at what the moon does to that. Not fun times, though, mostly. When in call center, the full moon and new moon, lunacy is a term for a reason. Good times. If you are so inclined to be a bit of a reader, and I know many of you are, there is a book that I published not terribly long ago, and that is called Through the Thinning Veil. 7 scary stories, and some of them are based on reality. I addressed the issues going on in one of them. What's the stream about? Well, Angelina, which is a lovely name. Normally, at this time of the week, Joe Bachman and Trelena Bachman would be demonstrating wood burning techniques and yarn techniques while hosting a kind of chat show, and everyone would be having a very good time. However, Joe not due to Joe having, we'll say, inconvenient okay, uh, issue at the moment, I believe it might involve relatives. I'm not sure. He could not be here for his usual stream, which is not the end of the world, but I don't like to let time slots be mistreated. We've worked very hard here in the independent creator directory, types, to try to ensure that. One moment, I'm doing math. There we go. That folks can find entertainment at a consistent time, because that's really what building and maintaining a group works at. So I try whenever possible to fill in. And I was asked, did you guys want, in the event I fill in, would you guys like me to do my usual live draw content, which I can do too? I have no problem with that. Or would you like me to demonstrate how I do 3D rendering? And the 3D renderers won it, having already got 3 hours of art out of me earlier in the day. Now, run the Furthermore stream. But, ooh, well, that's interesting. That overpowered my stream for a moment. All I'm doing is cutting away the pieces that I don't really want. This is the simplest way to use this program. And yes, you can do all sorts of very impressive things. However, the problem with that is I'm not trying to be very impressive. I'm simply trying to get a few things done. So what I want to do is go here to here. Now we can take this line, go right to there. And by using the colors whenever possible, it ensures that everything stays nicely oriented. So we can orbit, we can pan, we can zoom, and of course we can hit the I got lost so reset button. Are you doing this on your drawing screen or regular screen or mouse? Believe it or not, I'm more comfortable, because I've been using this program for 20 years, using a mouse. So while it is on my drawing screen, I find I have more stability using my vertical mouse. And like I said, there are a lot of little cheats that once you've done this a while, you start to learn. I tend to think in I want to split something into half, because I can always take these lines away. But there, we'll go here. I don't know till I get what I want done. Now, I needed those to this way I don't have to do the math. Because if I go here, it's going to say it runs out there, which is fine. I'll probably expand it out because it'll make the cockpit look a little clunky, a little overly narrow. But same tool. I can take the designs that are in my head very rapidly and then apply them. Absolutely. This is an old version. I want to say version 7 of a program called SketchUp. It was originally done by Google and it got bounced around. You can still get the free version of the modern one, but if you do not pay for a commercial license, you can't use it. However, the older versions did not have that bothersome commercial licensing agreement woven in. Therefore, I am free as long as I can use the older version to use SketchUp to do what I want. Now, as you can see, something went boink right here. And you'll get that a lot, where one side is solid. That usually means that I burped a line right there. There we go. Let me see. I just missed a connecting point. But that's okay. Now, I don't like to take away my my guidelines too early. Later, I can come back and I can anchor things off of them. And oftentimes, I find myself having to redraw the guidelines that I used, such as this one right here, because I know later, having access to some of these lines and points as consistent anchor points will come in very handy. And what do I mean by that? Okay. Well, let's see. What do we want to work on? First, I need to do something about this nose. And I am keeping it deliberately blank. 8. Yes, I'm on 8. I had to double check. I will pull the nose out about 5 millimeters. I'm using millimeters because the math is easier. I know it's not in freedom units. You may attempt to revoke my barbecue license if you wish. You will fit. Zoom in, grab a point. Let's see, is it going to do the nice trick? No, it is not going to do the nice trick. So now I have to go over here. I don't want to do this. Let me think. Oh, I'm on the wrong line. I'm going to do this. And this system is vastly more powerful than how I tend to use it. I will make that crystal clear. 0.5 enter. I use only the simplest most of the time for things like this because it's a lot easier. You can do animations. You can, here we go, do, see, that needs to be from here. We're going to go 0.5 over here. Boink. And yes, making the boink noise is really important. But there are actually quite a few. Yes, you'll get little glitches like that, and that's where they have to be fixed later. Sometimes they just happen. It's one of the errors of it being the older program, but I can't afford the vast amount of money in perpetuity that it would take to use this by the new version, so I don't. I could. Let me see something. But this is, if you guys wonder when I'm merrily building Big Stompy Robots, which is the tactics game I do. Let's see, it's there. So now I have to come here for just a second. That's what I was wondering. That's a strain. Yep, we're back to where we were. That shouldn't have done that. That's why I wanted to check. Because you'll get, I'm going to zoom. Whoops, it won't let me zoom any farther. Okay, it's being dorky. There we go. you get things where you're building these structures. Now, with repair, and I have to say it that way, folks like Rich and Joe have had great success in turning these into actual miniatures. And yes, but getting it to explain why is virtually impossible. So, like I said, I am a petty dabbler. I am no great expert in this, but I also have no problem using what I know to my own benefit. Hmm. Alrighty, let me see. Oh, we won't need that line. We won't need that line. We won't need that line. This is going to be a variant of a unit called a hauler. And the hauler is part, I don't know, this could actually be a good start for the NDB, MDB, for the next edition. I have to look at it from that angle. You guys don't know. Let's see. And yes, point A didn't want to point, which made C into D. You're actually quite right. Sometimes it does that. Way back when I got a job as a CAD drafter, even though I had a sociology degree because I took one class in AutoCAD. Do those skills translate into this? Absolutely. There are, and I haven't used it in a while because I got off this program for a bit, but there are ways to enter in your angles and such. This is CAD for people who are less mathematical. I'm actually very mathematically minded, but I'm also dyscalculic. So numbers and things move around rather a lot when I am doing certain things. It can be quite trying. Let me see. I have a middle line there. Do I like that middle line? We'll see. We'll throw a middle line here because it might come in useful in a moment. Actually, it will. I start to think in the forms that I'm working with. So just because I want a line that runs from the midpoint back here, I want a line that runs from the midpoint back here. Because I'm not really worried about the measurements. I'm worried about relative placement. And AutoCAD should translate very well. Yes. I like that's visual rather than mathy. Indeed, this is a lot closer to the way I do things. I was the last class that was seriously taught mechanical drafting back in the before times. And let me see how far is that? This, that's up. How 3 is it? 1.12. 1.2 million. Okay. So we'll go. I'll do this. Here. And we'll do this. But we were the first to learn CAD, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But I liked mechanical drafting as a way of processing and building things much better, to the point I was subbing for a CAD class when I was a substitute teacher. and I was fidgeting with some things, and the students made an observation that I found problematic. They claimed, in their infinite wisdom, that we're having to learn this mechanical stuff, but no one uses it. No one knows how anymore. It's not good for anything. We should use the computer for everything. You can't do anything with that. I said, okay, time me. And they went, what? I said, time me. Let me get where I can line this up. And I looked at some scrap wood that they had that literally was to be thrown away. And I looked at the tools that were available, which involved making a colorful entrance into the I went the wrong way with that. One moment. No, that's weird. Oh, I see what happened. Hold on. Anyway. I bet I started right there and went right there. Yeah. Need my input. I went into the cabinet, acquired drafting things, some masking tape, blank paper, and a pencil, and my triangles. Blessed are the triangles. And then I set to work, having looked at the rough designs that I had, designs of what I had access to. And from that, I made the first big stompy robots, drew it up, and let me see. And I actually had time to borrow a very elderly. Oops, no, I don't want that on face. A moment. Very elderly table saw that they thought wouldn't work. I kind of ruined them that because, of course, I knew how to get the table saw to start. It's not where I want that. Go here. Oh, I see what it is. Let me look back around. I gotta see where I anchored myself. Okay, I see what happened. I need this line to be here. And then I need to root in the middle of the middle line. Gotcha. Anyway, I can still give me a midpoint right there, and I'll go up. That has become annoying. Anyway, I rendered the first big robot ever. My handicap with something like this is my brain would demand I know the size, shape, and volume of the interior machinery as to optimize the instant. This is for the kind of application you're talking about. I would rather use something like AutoCAD, not to be problematic. Let's see if I did that right. Yes, I think I did. No, I didn't. I've become annoyed. One moment. We can grab this. Where'd you go? There. Now I can see what line I forgot. This middle line right here. Anyway, no, I still haven't quite got that right. Oh wait, where? Because for this, something went hinky. Oh well, because that's not anchoring right. This is the joy and the bane of this particular system. Oh, I like that anyway. That'll give me some options later. in that I can tweak everything, but sometimes the details aren't what I want. But this is more for conceptual. Like I said, for what you want to do, I would definitely be more inclined to use like a traditional CAD system. Did I go fine? Yep. And this needs to come out. You'll find I use a lot of the same measurements to just keep my world simple. But, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much that was going. Mine would bulk out all that information. I'd constantly filter down for something simpler. I think in too much detail, which is one reason my world building is so good. I could see that. Makes sense. My brain will go for one thing and the next with little or no real connection. Thesis calls it roller coaster thought. That's classic ADHD, also known as where I live. But okay, I kind of like the roller wheels. I can do some other things with them if I have to. But this gets a little different when you have, precision requests, obviously. But you learn not to be too worried. I don't know if I'll be using this design. We'll see. I want that right there. I want that right there. Because I want this rounded. And it lets you draw things out. But there's no reason to stress. Makes sense, my brain. What's that you say? Oh, roller coaster. It has a big butt. The vehicle or your brain? I lost a little track of what you're referencing there. Kind of like that. Now we get to see if it will let me erase some things that I deem unnecessary. Ah, yes. Excellent, excellent, excellent. That means I can get rid of these lines, which will make the next trick I want to do a little easier. And I am skipping around because I've got so many gears running. But that's okay. I wanted to get this done at least to show you guys a brief introduction into what you can do with this program. So now I can pull in. We'll pull it in one, and we'll line that up. I still kind of like the bulldozer. I had the steamroller wheels. This is amusing to me. We'll go in one, and we'll line that up. A lot of relative placement. Let's see. Now, I haven't shown you some of the other things this whole rig can do. So let's ponder on that a bit. I would like, actually, it needs another. Oh, this will be tricky because it means going into outer space with it, but we can make it work. Oh wait, no, it doesn't. Haha. We're gonna come here, and we're gonna go here, we're gonna go here. Now the reason is this is not a normal vehicle. This is a vehicle that has to be able to essentially transform into something different. And since it has that not just capacity, but necessity, I have to think not just, and see, that's where it does the thing. There's no reason for it to cut that off. There's no reason for that to become a hole. But it does. And then I have to do this to close it back up. Or else you have an actual gaping hole. Bit of a pain in the butt. However, it's really starting to come together. Oh yes, the vehicle's going to have a back hatch. That's a given. That vehicle is definitely going to have a backside. I just haven't gotten to it. I'm not done with any of the more interesting bits yet. This is just getting started with this guy. So if I go, we'll play with some of the options we have here. I want to get rid of this guy right now, and this guy, and this guy, that guy, and that guy, and these guys. Now we're going to take this dude and we're just going to displace the shape a bit. And you will find almost all my measurements orbit in the neighborhood of 0.5 to 0.3 to 1 when I'm measuring and I'm doing things, because I just want to go to bigger. 0.2. And now I'm going to come right in here. And I'm going to grab, nope. You grabbed the wrong thing. So this is why Control Z is your friend. There we go. We want to pull it out. That actually looks pretty good. Let's see. Do I like that as a pull out? Yeah, it's a start. And that's where you start getting the detailing going in, where I can do things to make the wheels or tracks or whatever look a little different. But I have to tweak it and go, what does it need? So right now, this needs me to go and erase the center line here, erase the center line here, and go, let's go 0.3 because I want it to be fairly large. 0.3 here. 0.3 here. And we'll do one more. Would it narrow? Oh, absolutely. It would absolutely make it more unstable. But right now I'm playing with the design. This does not. This is Big Stompy Robots, where the visual is a little bizarre. So let's take, we'll do this. Oh, it's doing that thing where it's grabbing the wrong block again. And it loves to do that. It absolutely loves to not grab the block I want it to. But this allows me to quickly, there we go, make design changes and field test different ideas. And like I said, anyone who saw the Big Stompy Robots at StompCon, the 3D renders were all done using the system. Down here, that radius is too small. And you run into things like that where it doesn't want to play nice. Okay. Then I won't do it. Let's see. If I go, and I come back here, and I go, radius is too small. How odd. There we go. It will give me 5. We'll work with 5 then. You can just, the idea of just being able to push these things around makes it so much easier. Because now I can give the implication that you can start to see where the hinge joints on this vehicle are, where it's designed to fold open, which is what this vehicle does. Grab my eraser again. Zap these lines because I'll use that. What is it? The inset tool. Got the offset. The offset tool. To make assorted interesting things. So we're going to just pull this in by 2. By 2. By 2. Now, that being said, these don't quite match, which is a hazard. Normally, yes, you also have to understand that normally I'd be paying a lot more attention to this. Oh, yes, this is very much like a oh, yes. The factor is that this carries a monstrous amount of weight. And it is a little high. Normally, I would, because I was having issues with the wheels and I didn't want to sit and fight it all night, I would have the wheels kicked out much farther. 1 second. But this is also just prototyping look ideas. So, because I'm not sure I'm sold on how the snout is right now. I have some. I want to do some other things with the tail, and for some reason, it's trying to tell me that somebody is trying to grab that. There we go. But it's about just getting the general gist of things. So let's for the time being, let's do something else. Let us appease Carl. Not Carl. Dan. For a moment. We're going to do. And we'll worry about these circles in a bit. We'll pull these out where I normally would. Somewhere. Well, let's go 7. Right. Now we're going to rotate this around. Also, 7's not bad. And we will pull this to the burden of the angles. It doesn't like to draw past them, which means I can, that's fine. I can pull this guy to here. That means I can grab that, pull it to there. Not a problem. Just freeing myself a bit of the limitations. And then, and then I'm going to do the same thing. Yes, I want to come grab this piece. And I'll grab that. There is a piece missing. That's fine. There we go. So we'll grab that, spin it around, realize, well, I want to keep my guidelines for later, so do the same thing on the other side. I am not an expert at this program. I've just used it a long time. It's sort of an old friend from a simpler time. And once you start using a few of the basic tools, you get where I don't really need, for my purposes, a lot of the fancy tools. So now we have this shape, which honestly looks quite odd, but that's okay. Because I could do something like, let's see, this, and that. We'll do this. And now, that shape needs to be closed up. Oh no, whatever shall I do? Well, if I take this line, go straight across there, that usually closes it up. This is where you run into some issues sometimes. There we go. when it doesn't want to acknowledge the need for another line. But do that. This is where you get these shenanigans of I have to find an angle to see my angles. Try that again. There we are. And I'm going to do is get to there, there. And I'm just rebuilding the structure basically manually. But now I've done that on this side. What do I have to do on the butt? Oh, I haven't played with the butt yet. So this is what, and I spent hours and hours. Oh, of course you need to be appeased, good sir. Yes, I'm showing you how I make 3D rendered vehicles. And see, this double line tells me something went very wrong. But that's okay. I can work with that. We'll just get rid of this and this. And we'll orbit our happy selves around to here. Let me see. Let me see what we have going on. Zoom out. 10. Working with programs like this has been very good for me because I've worked SketchUp so much over the years that I basically Jarvis in my own head. Did that change the angles I wanted? A little bit. That's fine. But now we have that bulkiness that Carl was looking for. I do need to do some redesigns on this, but that's okay. I am figuring things out. Now there should be an endpoint. Where's that endpoint? No, give me the endpoint. Thank you. Bonk. Work up. I do prefer whenever possible to build Revit out because occasionally the drawing out gets a little hinky. You get something like this where it's just misbehaving, but that's giving me an interesting anchor point, so we'll do that. And we'll just try to do it one more time to see if it gives me what I need. Yep. And I like to show you guys different ways to accomplish the same results. Now we're starting to get a little bit of that Buck Rogers feel, and that is okay. To this day, the hatchet fighters from Buck Rogers are some of my all-time favorite units ever comprised. Now, see, this side doesn't have the upper lines for me to work with, so that leaves me forced to do it another way, which is donk, donk. And let's see. How is that? Okay, we are getting somewhere. What we'll just do is grab from this point, get the end point, not on edge. There we go. And we'll pull a pan back out. So we'll come back here, and we'll go there. That gives me the triangles I need to build a structure. I can go, do I like that angle? This is not as aggressive a unit as I usually do because this is meant to be a construction-based unit. So you're not getting like the big snumpy robot look. But I can bring up, look, nope, I missed it. See, that would be where the problems that cause Ritchie problems is. Where they are born is when it jumps a little bit. There we go. And we're just going to go here. We'll come back here. We'll grab that same endpoint. There it is. And we're going to come back here. And this is literally how I spend hours and hours and hours figuring out how I want units that I've made already out of wood and other mediums to translate. So a lot of times that doesn't feel right. Okay, that's right. We're good. But a lot of times I find that I could build the rough structure of this thing, this kind of thing, very, very, very quickly, and then I have to strain harder. And hi, Zach. Thank you. Oh yes, there's bulkiness, but people asked what my method for making big stompy robots was a while ago, and I did tell Joe if he ever needed me to, I would kind of show how I do it, and this is basically how I do it. It's one of those that very quickly looks very simple till it isn't. I don't want to give this conventional tracks, though. So I'm not going to. I want to do something different. We'll just do this. We'll ignore that line for a moment. I go to there, to there. Maybe I can go there, to there. Yes, I like that better. Huh. New says Tesla tank. No, if I were designing it, it would be bulletproof. But yes, I do try to keep my. Sorry, that wasn't nice. You know, for any differences I have with Elon, which I do, I have to give him props for some of what he does. And now I can just go. How far do I want the wheels to come back? A lot of times it's pull it back to, say, the midline. Pull it back there. Pull it back there. Whoa, no. There we go. And you'll find that things get a little cranky, but it does, in the end, give me a really neat product. Because I've just gotten to where I can envision something and then basically figure out how I want it to work. Now, I may tinker later with actually centering these wheels instead of having them on the edges, but a lot of that process is better done after you have it, because then you look at it and you go, That's why I'm not getting rid of my guidelines, because I may want to come back and use them. But this would be a device that this opens up into a facility. This is an MDB, a mobile deployable base. I want to do something here. Let me see. I don't want it to look too. There we go. I like that better. Nope, that's the wrong tool. Yeah, I got poke fun. So I did that from the middle of that one. That looks pretty good. And we end up with this nice kind of rendering feel of a very distinctive kind of unit. I need to do something with this. Aha! With the button side. I thought something went missing. Occasionally I'll double tick when I hit a there we are. Did I get the other side? Yes, I did. A I'm deleting something. I'll delete one too many. See, now that I have this, I can go, what I want to do? I want to move this piece. Let's see, where's the middle line? The offset is limited for some reason. That's interesting. Now, 0.3. Don't know why it's being cranky about 0.3, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to come right here. And then I'm going to go this way. 1.3. And then I'll swivel around and look at it. That looks pretty groovy, actually. I bumped into that line. That's fine. So I can go, whoop, and then come back. And you just spend a lot of time just slowly dragging the mouse to get it where you want it to be, to get the shape you want. And this way I'm not having to deal with treads, because working with tank treads can be a little rough. I don't know. Oh, I see what happened. You take this guy and we draw it to be even here, because that's the proportionate guideline. Look at that. See how the numbers all lined up oddly nice? And then we just line what we have up here. And when I'm all set, I'll get rid of the guidelines. And then I'll use other detailing techniques to change the shape, add some armor plating. This is, like I said, this is an unarmed vehicle, which most of my vehicles aren't. It's a little bit special, but that's okay. Let's see. Let's go. I saw you. There you are. Midpoint. 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 And what I'm going to do. Let's go midpoint to do this. There we go. Now I've got some nice kind of headlights going on. So I will just come over here with my eraser, go zap out the middle and the top. A lot of it is, if you can, you look at a specific area, like I'm doing right here. You set it for 3D and you just go. Let's see, let's put this about there. That works. Now, what we'll do is we'll take this and we'll just put it like that. How's that look? Now we've got some headlight kind of energy going. I can see this now, and I haven't started doing the more. Like I said, I still have to do a bunch of greebling type things and put armor plating on it and figure out where I want, what shapes I want on the outside. I might round things, I might box things. It looks like a big chunky nose, but file, save as, MDB test 1. And this may not be the final, but if I open, you want something more militarized. Well, let's go to the heavy bit. It doesn't get more militarized than this. This is the 2024 version of the heavy BSR. It is a significant upgrade of the standard, but still kept in that oversimplified techniques, so it looks like what I used in when I made my units out of wood. I did make this guy a little smaller instead of raised up like most HBSRs are, um, because I think he looked more dangerous condensed. And then I have 3D prints downstairs that I can grab that Joe Bachman has done and that Rich has done of units like this. And I made this through the same sets of device work, of pushing and pulling and measuring and just guesstimating. And this is about a 30 millimeter diameter circle, because the washers I originally mounted my guys on were about 30 millimeters across. But you can do very complex things with even the simplest basic ideas and just enough time of tinkering. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to run an ad real quick, as it's been a while, and I'm going to run one that needs to be run. And then I think we're going to wrap up this program, if you don't mind. Where are we? You know what? Yes, let's run this ad. All right, folks, just a little bit of self-promotion. The units that I was working on here are set for the Big Stompy Robots Koepp rulebook. They're set for this game setting, and if you would like to get involved in it, this book runs about $10 on Amazon, and you can see some of my old style, my older work that I hand drew all the art in this book, designed all the units, did all the math for point cost formula and things. I like to keep what the BattleTech folks would say is the periphery feel. There's a lot of tongue-in-cheek in this, but I wanted to build a world that's part of a universe that I can play around in, where you have things like the Boom Depot and, units based on other shenanigans. Did I get the auditor in here? I can't remember if I got the auditor in here. The very first mecha I ever seriously put heart into designing is a very old mecha, and I can't remember if I put the image in here, but it was the IRS auditor. Because I figured the super corps are going to be the megacorps are going to be so powerful. The only government agencies that have the ability to deal with them would probably be the tax collectors. And taxes go a lot faster when you have a 15, 20 foot tall walking engine of destruction idling outside. So you get to see things like cat chick mechanics and variant, tank police. You gotta have tank police. So if you're interested in this and the start of the world, you can buy this. There are 2 novels set in this series. Eyes to the Sky, which is horror creeps into my sci-fi. I can't help it. Eyes to the Sky is a tale from the last great Megacorp war, when the Megacorps took over the planet, and the Terrans actually bombarded the planet. But they also one of the forces dropped a weapon so hideous, so unthinkably scarring, that it left one man on a lifetime vigil watching for them to come again. Not to give spoilers, but the phrase zombie mecha from outer space. And it has the rules that you can add to this game to actually play Big Stompy Robots by yourself and have the potential of losing. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of experimentation. The idea is, I love BattleTech. One of my proudest points is that there is a planet that has, I believe, a region. That is the Tockert region in BattleTech. It appears in the book The Anvil by Blaine Lee Pardoe. And that's one of my great privileges. And he did in part that because he heard about what I was doing with Big Stompy Robots as a way of onboarding people to mixed unit combat books. And I did some playtesting for BattleTech. I did some playtesting for Cav and a few other great games. And it is a great joy of mine. I have heard, are those with the sentient tanks, the like nuclear powered tanks? I think one of them was called Geronimo. If that's what I'm thinking, I read it a long time. Yes. Then yes, I have read that several of those books. My dad quite liked them. It's just, unfortunately, they were from a collection that got lost in the fire, and I could not remember the author's name to retrack them down. So thank you, Dan. And not to give spoilers on future projects, but I've been working on the BSR world for a very, very long time. If you go to my DeviantArt account, nickt.deviantart.com or deviantart.com/nickt, before I have to take the older things down, you dig around a bit. You'll start to encounter a few things, including units called Endbringers. You'll see the original Auditor and a few other things. Some of this stuff goes back to the hoary days. We're talking 2007, 2009, when I found out I was going to be a dad. My son was coming. I love gaming, guys. I really do. And I love being able to game with people. And I find that modern gaming systems oftentimes are excessively complicated, monstrously expensive, and far too time-consuming. So whenever I am engaged on the field of game design, whenever I'm doing my RPG design work, or I'm doing Big Stompy Robots, or I'm helping somebody with some commission game designs, things like that, I've done several. Most of them failed on the other people's end, but I've done some really great work. I try to keep things simple because I believe that gaming is an art. And like all arts, it is for everyone. So that's one of my great passion friends. But I was only supposed to be on for an hour. We're in an hour 41 after I already did 3 hours of broadcasting this morning on 3 hours of sleep. I'm going to say, guys, I would like to spend some time with my lovely wife. And I don't get to as much as I'd like, largely due to her work schedule and what I have to do, taking care of Xander and everything else. So, with that, guys, I'm going to say thank you for hanging out. I hope I held aloft the standards of the Independent Creator Directory. I have no idea what Joe's going to say when he finds out about this, but it is done, as always, with love. Please support them. Please support me. And please support the people in the chat, as almost everyone in the chat is a published writer, creator, or something else. We have actual rocket scientists who come through now, thanks to some of the people. I'm mind blown. And I'll tell her that you say hi. With that, guys, keep writing, keep drawing, keep creating, because if you do, you can edit it. You can improve it. You can even render it in 3D. But you cannot edit a blank page. For Nevermind the Furthermore, After Dark, I'm Nick Tockert. I love you, and you should too. Good evening.